Ready or Not is an intense tactical first-person shooter that depicts a modern-day world where SWAT police units are called to defuse hostile situations.
Element to talk. Bagging.
Talk to Element. Forensics is standing by.
Photo album worthy?
It's being developed by Void Interactive and was fully released in late 2023. The game is currently only available on PC, but there have been hints that it may also come to consoles one day. When it comes to gameplay, you play as part of a SWAT police unit. As such, you are sent to various locations with criminals on site, and you must take these down or arrest them, and also make sure you free the civilians. There may be additional objectives such as locating and defusing a bomb or securing intel. As you're doing all of this, you must follow the rules of engagement. For example, you're not allowed to shoot at your teammates, you're not allowed to kill civilians, and you must also give the suspects a chance to surrender where it's possible, and not immediately kill them as you might in other first-person shooters. If you break any of these rules, you are going to have deductions from your score. The reason why this matters is because Ready or Not is not really... you could play it as a campaign type of game, but in my eyes, what most people like it for is actually learning and improving their score and just handling a situation as good as they can without any unnecessary casualties or injuries. So just keep this in mind. There's two ways to play this game. You can either play solo with friendly squad AI, or you can play multiplayer and instead team up with your friends to take down enemies, which are not real enemies but AI enemies, as you would in the solo mode. But when it comes to the solo mode, you can command your friendly squad and give them orders such as breaching doors, tossing in a flashbang, restraining enemies, or picking up weapon evidence for you, which they tend to do by default already, which is very handy. So these guys are very useful, and I think they're pretty well implemented, especially at this current moment, because I remember when I played about a year ago, they weren't as useful. I'm pretty happy with the weapon selection in this game, because there are many assault rifles, many submachine guns, and shotguns, and of course sidearms. You can modify these, so you can give them scopes, you can change your muzzle attachments, you can change your foregrips, and of course you can also add flashlights and lasers. So I'm pretty happy with these. I like trying them all out, and of course some are better than others, but generally I feel like they have all been fun to use. There's also plenty of equipment you can bring with you. For example, there's a shield, there is pepper spray, you have an opti wand which you can use to peek under doors. There's really a lot you can bring in, and depending on your playstyle, you are just bound to find something that works for you. So the way you initially progress in this game is you get access to the first mission, you complete it with any score as far as I know, because once I got a D and I still got access to the next, so this unlocks the next level for you, and you just repeat that, and eventually, once you've completed everything, you might start going for improving your score, so replaying the levels and trying to obtain a better rating. So when it comes to difficulty, I would say this game is really difficult, especially if you're new, because, well, what you're gonna learn with time is that this game requires a lot of patience, and you really do need to play tactically. You can't simply rush into rooms or areas and not expect to get shot from somewhere and possibly killed. You just have to be really careful, and you need to utilize all your tools to stay alive. Another thing to mention would be that when you do play solo, there's actually two ways to play. First one is commander mode, and in this mode, you need to actually take care of your squad mates. So if you do bad in a mission and perhaps you fail or get everybody really injured in some way, they're gonna be stressed, anxious, or even in crisis. And what happens is that you need to send them to therapy, or they might even end up resigning. So I think that mode is quite difficult. But if you can actually unlock some levels and get used to the game, you can replay these missions in a quick play mode, and you do not have to worry about this aspect in this mode. Performance is okay. I think you definitely do need a strong rig for this game, because even on my RTX 2070 Super, I would say I play on low to medium settings generally, and I get about 70 FPS, which is quite stable. Sometimes it goes higher, sometimes a bit lower, but yeah, you need a good PC for this game, I would say. But it's still beautiful, even on low settings. So, speaking of the graphics, I would have to say that this game might be one of the prettiest games I have ever played. I mean, based on my personal preferences, I think it's gorgeous and so detailed. And I'm just astounded that an indie team managed to make a game this pretty. So, really, lighting is beautiful, water textures, everything. It just gives me the vibes of SWAT 4, but upgraded. Sound design is also good, and I have nothing bad to say. I would also like to mention that you can mod this game. You can mod in weapons, operator skins, even maps, additional attachments, quality of life fixes. For example, when you yell at a civilian or a suspect, your weapon kind of shakes downward, and you can actually disable this, which is very helpful because that way you can still keep aiming at them properly. Now, some negative aspects about this game. As personally someone who plays a lot of solo, something I don't like is when I play the bigger maps that it's kind of hard to find the last enemy or the last civilian, and I end up, potentially finishing 99% of the level in, let's say, 10 minutes, but then I have to spend another 10 minutes backtracking and checking if maybe I missed one room, and getting that last thing that I need to complete the mission. It's kind of annoying, but now you do have this feature with the friendly squad AI where they can search and secure for you, so it's good to have, and generally it's fine. But I would say if you're playing with friends, these maps are gonna be a lot, I guess, easier to handle, because you can have, you can go your own way and both just search for this last thing you need and get it over with sooner and with less frustration, because you'll have somebody else in the same boat with you and you can chat and stuff, And speaking of someone to chat with, yeah, there is also multiplayer. You can find people to play within the game. You can get on the official Ready or Not Discord and find others. And yeah, I personally haven't tried it yet, but I'm sure it's a lot of fun. I've heard that you can't have the friendly squad mates with you unless you mod the game, so that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I've heard only good things about multiplayer. In conclusion, with all of the features this game has, I think it's really in my top 3 favorite tactical shooters at the moment, because it's really a lot more polished than its counterparts. So basically, whenever I play any other recent tactical shooters, let's say like 0 Hour, I'm just thinking about Ready or Not and how much better it looked, played, and just felt. And of course, other games have good qualities to them too, but this game really stands out, and I can see all the hard work they've put into developing it and getting it out of early access, and it's just a really solid game at this point, I would say. Of course, there's always things you can work on, but I think you can't go wrong with this game if you are into tactical first-person shooters. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you could learn something.